The air inside the diplomatic station always carried a soft echo, as if every sound bounced through metal halls before settling. Ethan Walker had noticed this on his first day. And even now, after months of working as a junior technician, he still paused sometimes, listening to the way footsteps stretched through the corridors. He liked the quiet. It helped him think. It also helped him stay invisible, which was something he preferred. Humans were new here, new to this alliance, new to these alien halls. And people like Ethan were not usually the ones noticed. But all of that changed the day the alien princess arrived. Her name was Princess Lyra of the Solari Dominion, a peaceful but powerful civilization with shimmering skin, bright eyes, and voices that always sounded calm. She had come for negotiations, but rumors spread quickly that she was nothing like the cold royal figures people expected. Some said she wandered the halls alone. Some said she liked studying humans. Some even said she had asked for a human guide. Ethan never imagined that guide would be him. He hadn't been assigned officially. He had been in the wrong place at the wrong time, or maybe the right place, fixing a panel near the observatory when she walked by. She had stopped, studied him with calm silver eyes, and asked softly, "Are you human?" That moment played in his mind again and again. Now, several weeks later, they crossed paths often. She would ask quiet questions about Earth, and he would answer with the little he knew. She seemed interested in simple things. Cold rain, growing flowers, wooden houses, music played with real instruments instead of holograms. She always listened with deep curiosity. Something about her made Ethan relax, even though she was royalty. He liked that she treated him like a person and not a tool. So when her birthday approached, a detail he learned by accident, Ethan wondered if he should give her something. Something small, something simple, something that carried a piece of Earth. He had no money for anything fancy, and even if he did, he doubted she needed jewels or rare metals. She probably had entire rooms full of treasures. But one thing had always reminded him of home. A small wooden charm he had carved during training school. It was shaped like a tiny leaf, smooth and warm to touch. Humans didn't usually carry handcrafted items now, but Ethan liked old things that held emotion. He stared at the charm in his hand that morning, wondering if it was too simple, too ridiculous, or too personal. Would a princess even accept such a thing? Would it offend her? Would others think he was foolish? Yet something inside him whispered that honesty mattered more than status. It was a gift from the heart, nothing else. He wrapped it carefully in a small cloth pouch and hid it in his pocket as he made his way to the observatory, the place where she liked to spend her breaks. He expected she would be alone, watching the stars through the transparent dome, like she always did. But today, he found her standing near the railing, her back turned toward him. Soft blue light traced over her silhouette. Her long hair shifted like threads of liquid silver as she gazed at distant galaxies. She looked quiet, peaceful, almost lonely. He hesitated, suddenly unsure. Then she spoke before he could make a sound. "You walk softly," she said without turning. "But the stars told me someone human was coming." Ethan blinked. "The stars told you?" She finally looked over her shoulder, smiling gently. "A figure of speech in my language. It just means, I sensed you." He relaxed a little and stepped closer. She tilted her head. "Is something wrong?" No. He shook his head. "I just brought something. A gift." The word echoed strangely across the observatory, like even the walls couldn't believe it. Princess Lyra's expression changed slowly. She blinked, almost startled, and her silver eyes softened. "A gift? For me?" Ethan nodded and reached into his pocket. His heart beat faster than usual. He hoped she wouldn't see his nerves. "I heard your birthday was today," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. She watched every movement he made, her eyes wide, focused, almost too attentive. Ethan gently placed the pouch in her hands. She held it like it was something fragile, something sacred. Her fingers trembled just barely, but enough for Ethan to notice. She loosened the strings, opened the pouch, and drew out the small wooden leaf. The moment she touched it bare-handed, the atmosphere around her changed instantly. The light seemed to shift. Her eyes widened even more. But now there was something else. Something intense, shining in them. Her breath caught softly. Her expression went from surprise to awe, to something deeper, something Ethan couldn't name. "It is warm," she whispered. "So warm, like life itself." "It's just wood," Ethan said awkwardly. "Carved it myself. Nothing special, really." She ignored the last part completely. Her gaze remained locked on the charm, as if it was the most precious thing she had ever held. "In our culture," she said slowly, "gifts crafted by hand, with time and care, hold powerful meaning." Ethan blinked. "Meaning?" She nodded without looking up. "It shows devotion, respect, a wish to protect." Her fingers tightened around the charm. "And more important, it shows honesty." He felt his ears growing warm. "I didn't know it meant all of that. I just wanted to give you something real." Her eyes finally rose to meet his, and her voice grew softer, almost fragile. "No one has ever given me something like this." That shocked him. She was a princess. "You mean, no handcrafted gifts?" he asked. "No." She shook her head. "Nothing made with real effort. Only political offerings. Only objects meant to impress, not understand." She held the wooden leaf close to her chest. "But this is different." Ethan swallowed hard. He hadn't expected any of this. He thought she might smile politely, thank him, and then move on. Instead, she looked as if the gift had touched something deep inside her. Then her reaction changed even more unexpectedly. Princess Lyra stepped closer to him. Much closer than usual. So close he could see the soft, shimmering patterns across her skin. Patterns that humans couldn't produce. She stared up at him with an expression that was completely open, unguarded, almost emotional. "Ethan," she whispered, "you have no idea what you have done." His heart raced. "Did I do something wrong?" "Do something wrong?" "No." She shook her head again. "Something very right." Before he could respond, she slowly reached out. Her hand hovered near his chest, not touching, but close enough for him to feel her warmth through the air. "In Solari tradition," she murmured, "receiving a handmade gift means the giver has offered a piece of their heart." Her voice trembled softly. "And the receiver is obliged to acknowledge it." He stared at her, unable to understand fully. "Acknowledge it how?" She took a deep breath. "By giving something of equal meaning in return." Ethan froze. I didn't know that." She smiled gently. "Humans rarely do, but it does not change the tradition." Her other hand lifted the charm again, and she held it near her cheek. She closed her eyes for a moment, as if feeling the warmth one more time. "I must respond," she said quietly. "I cannot ignore what you offered me." He didn't know what she meant. He didn't know what she intended. But her eyes opened again, and in them, he saw something that made his breath stop. A mixture of gratitude, emotion, and something almost like fear of the intensity she felt. Then, without warning, she placed her hand gently over his. The warmth from her touch spread through him instantly. Not burning, not electric, just warm like sunlight on a quiet morning. "Thank you, Ethan," she whispered. "You have given me something priceless." He opened his mouth to speak, but she took another step closer, her silver eyes locked on his. "And now," she whispered, "I must give you my response." Her voice was full of something he didn't understand, yet Her unexpected reaction had just begun. For a long moment, Ethan stood completely still, unsure of what Princess Lyra meant by her response. Her hand rested lightly over his, warm and gentle, but her eyes carried a seriousness he had never seen from her before. The observatory felt quiet, too quiet, as if the stars themselves waited for what she might do next. She slowly drew in a breath, and the patterns on her skin glowed faintly, like soft light beneath water. Ethan stared, mesmerized. He had seen Solari glow before, usually when they communicated strong emotions, but never this close, never this personally. When she finally spoke, her voice sounded softer than before. In my culture, when someone receives a handmade gift, they must return something meaningful, something that carries their own truth, something that belongs to their heart. Ethan swallowed. Lyra, I didn't mean to start a tradition like that. I didn't even know. I know, she said gently. You gave without expecting anything. That is what makes it powerful. Her hand slipped away from his, but instead of stepping back, she stepped closer. Close enough that their breaths mixed. Close enough that he could see tiny silver flecks in her eyes that he had never noticed. He felt suddenly aware of everything, his heartbeat, the slight trembling in her voice, the quiet hum of the station around them. She looked nervous, he realized. A princess. Nervous? Because of him? Ethan, she said, almost whispering. My response is not something I give lightly, but I must give it. He waited, unsure, but trusting her. She reached up and gently touched the wooden leaf hanging from its cord. She held it between her fingers, then placed it against her heart. Her eyes softened even more. You gave me a piece of earth, she murmured. Now, I will give you a piece of Solari truth. Before he could ask what that meant, she lifted her hands and lightly touched the sides of his head, not firmly, but enough that he felt a soft warmth spreading from her palms. He tensed, surprised, but she shook her head softly, reassuring him. Do not be afraid, she whispered. Then something changed. It wasn't pain. It wasn't pressure. It was more like a gentle wave of sensation passing through his mind. His vision blurred at the edges, and for a moment, he thought the lights in the observatory had dimmed. But then he realized the lights hadn't changed. He had. Images flashed briefly across his thoughts. Not memories of his own, but impressions. Faint, soft shapes. Glimpses of Solari skies, blue-white, shimmering like crystal seas. Voices he didn't understand. Laughter that wasn't his. Loneliness. Great halls that felt cold despite their beauty. A sense of duty that weighed like a heavy cloak. Then everything faded. Her hands slipped away from his head. She stepped back slowly, breathing in a soft, shaky breath. Ethan blinked, trying to understand what he had felt. What was that? He whispered. A Solari truth share, she said quietly. It is our most personal way of responding. I showed you pieces of my life. Emotions I have never shared with anyone. Ethan felt stunned. Why me? Because you gave me something honest, she replied. Because you saw me as a person, not a princess. And because I wanted you to understand, even a little, what my world feels like. He didn't know what to say. His chest felt tight, not with fear, but with something warm, heavy, and emotional. Lyra looked away, her cheeks glowing faintly, almost like a blush. I know this is strange for humans. I should have asked your permission. No, he said quickly. I'm not upset. I'm just surprised. It felt emotional. She nodded. That is the purpose. Before either of them could speak again, the soft chime of the station intercom echoed through the observatory. Princess Lyra, your council requests your presence in the meeting hall. She exhaled with a hint of disappointment. Duty calls again. Ethan gave a small smile. I shouldn't keep you, No, her voice softened. But before I go. She took a small step forward again, her eyes searching his. Your gift means more to me than I can explain. Hold on to what you felt. It will matter later. Then she turned, her silver hair flowing behind her, and walked out of the observatory with quiet steps, leaving Ethan alone with a heart full of questions and a mind echoing with emotions that weren't entirely his. He stayed there for a long moment, staring at the stars. He didn't understand why she had chosen him of all people. Maybe because he treated her like a normal person. Maybe because he never tried to impress her. Maybe because she was lonely in ways no one noticed. But whatever the reason, something had changed between them. Over the next 3 days, Ethan barely saw her. She attended diplomatic sessions, private discussions, cultural ceremonies, and long strategy meetings. The station always buzzed with activity whenever she passed. And humans and Solari alike stepped aside respectfully. She always moved gracefully. But Ethan noticed something different. She looked for him. When she entered a corridor, her eyes scanned quietly. When people greeted her, she nodded politely, but her gaze flickered behind them as if searching. When she passed the engineering bay, he once saw her pause for a second, then continue. He didn't approach her. He didn't want to disrupt official duties, but he felt the same pull she did. Something had formed between them. Something gentle and quiet, but undeniably real. On the 4th night, he was repairing a coolant valve near the central garden dome when he sensed someone behind him. He turned quickly and froze. Princess Lyra stood there, her dress shimmering with faint patterns, her expression soft but tense, as if she had come in a hurry. Ethan, she said softly. He stood up immediately. Your Highness. Please, she interrupted. Just Lyra. He nodded, feeling his heart pick up speed again. Lyra, are you all right? She stepped closer. I needed to see you. The council noticed my emotions. They noticed the glow in my patterns. They asked if something influenced me recently. Ethan blinked. Did you tell them? She looked down. I told them the truth, that a human gave me a gift. Then her voice grew quieter. They were not pleased. A knot tightened in Ethan's stomach. Did I cause a problem? No, she said quickly. You did nothing wrong. They just do not understand human sincerity. To them, your gift might look like a political gesture, not a personal one. Ethan shook his head. But it wasn't political at all. I know. She lifted her gaze. But they do not. And they fear anything that might affect royal decisions. So what happens now? He asked. She hesitated, her hands clasping together nervously. They want to know more. They want to examine the gift. They want to analyze you. Ethan went pale. Analyze? Not in a harmful way, she assured him. Just interviews, questions, perhaps scans of emotional resonance. But I refused. You refused? Yes. She took a step closer. Because the gift was meant for me, not for them to tear apart. He felt a strange mix of relief and worry. Are you sure that's a good idea? They're your counsel. They serve my mother, she said firmly. Not my heart. For a moment, neither spoke. They stood in the quiet glow of the garden dome, surrounded by alien plants with soft, pulsing lights. Lyra looked tired. More tired than his glimpses of her memories had shown. But she also looked determined. Then she exhaled and took another step closer, too close, making his breath catch. Ethan, she whispered, I must ask you something important. Anything, he said before thinking. Her silver eyes locked onto his, full of quiet worry and something deeper. Did your gift mean something more? She asked. Ethan felt his heart stop for a second. He looked down, then back at her. I gave it because I respect you, he said carefully, because I think you're kind and strong and not like the stories people tell about royalty. I wanted to give something real. She inhaled softly. He nodded. Lyra's hands trembled slightly. Then, I must tell you the truth. The Council believes your gift could be seen as a bond. A bond? He repeated. A human and a Solari forming a connection of meaning, she said slowly. If interpreted that way, it changes everything. Ethan blinked. Changes what? She looked straight into his eyes, her voice barely a whisper now. In my culture, such a bond is considered the beginning of choosing someone. The meaning hit him like a silent shock. Choosing, like forming a pair. Not romantic yet, but the first step. Before he could respond, she continued softly. And because I responded, I have already acknowledged the bond. Ethan stood frozen. So, we're bonded? Her voice trembled. Not fully. But the path has begun. And now others will notice. He felt his chest tighten again, part fear, part something impossible to deny. Then she stepped even closer, her face inches from his. I reacted unexpectedly to your gift, she whispered. Because it touched me in ways I did not expect. And because... She paused, her breath soft. Because I do not want the bond to break. He stared at her, words lost. Princess Lyra lifted her hand again slowly, gently, and placed it over his heart. Ethan, she whispered. You changed my world with a simple gift. Now I must ask, do you want to walk this path with me? Everything around them fell silent. The garden, the humming lights. The entire station seemed to pause. His answer would shape everything. And she waited, fragile, hopeful, afraid, her hand warm against his chest, her eyes filled with a truth she had never shown anyone. The next moment would decide their fate. Ethan didn't speak at first. Not because he didn't want to, but because he didn't trust his voice. Princess Lyra stood so close, waiting for his answer with a calm face. But her eyes told a different story. They held fear, hope, and a question that carried the weight of two worlds. Her hand stayed over his chest, feeling the fast rhythm of his heartbeat. She didn't move it away. She waited. Ethan placed his hand gently over hers. His fingers barely touched her skin, but the moment he did, she inhaled sharply. The light in her patterns flickered softly. He looked into her silver eyes and spoke carefully, honestly, without trying to sound impressive. I don't fully understand what this bond means in your culture, he said. But I know I don't want to lose what we have. I want to walk this path. With you. The words were simple. But to her, they meant everything. She exhaled in a shaky breath. Relief flooding her features. The trembling in her hand stopped. Her eyes softened so much, they almost looked like glowing water. For a moment, she didn't speak. She just stood there, holding both his hand and his answer close to her heart. Then she whispered, "Thank you, Ethan. Thank you for choosing truth." They stood together in the quiet garden dome, surrounded by glowing plants and soft lights. But their quiet moment didn't last long. A sharp sound echoed from the far end of the dome, footsteps, quick and heavy. Ethan stepped back slightly, and Lyra turned toward the noise. 3 Solari guards entered, dressed in shimmering armor, their expressions tense. Behind them walked a tall figure in elegant robes. Counselor Varen, one of the highest-ranking members of her council. His eyes narrowed as soon as he saw Ethan. "Princess Lyra," Varen said sharply. "You were instructed to remain in your quarters after the last session. Why are you here, and with him?" Lyra straightened, her calm returning instantly. "I chose to be here, and Ethan is under my protection." Varen's expression tightened. "Your Highness, you are forming dangerous attachments. The Council has analyzed the energy resonance around you. Your glow patterns have shifted drastically since you received that human's gift." Ethan felt his stomach twist. He stepped forward. "Silence," Varen snapped. "Humans do not speak in royal matters." But Lyra stepped between them suddenly, her voice calm but firm. "He will speak if he wishes, and you will not raise your voice to him." The guards exchanged shocked glances. Even Ethan stared at her, stunned. This was not the gentle, soft-spoken princess he had seen before. This was the royal leader inside her strength, wrapped in calmness. Varen's eyes shifted from Lyra to Ethan, filled with irritation. "Princess, you are allowing emotion to cloud your duties. You must surrender the gift for examination, and the human will be escorted for questioning." "No," she said quietly. Varen blinked. "What?" "No," she repeated. "The gift is mine. The bond is mine. Ethan harmed no one. He deserves respect." Varen stepped forward slowly, lowering his voice. "If the royal family accepts a bond with a human, the Dominion will question your judgment. Other species will question your loyalty. This is dangerous." Lyra's expression didn't change. "I do not fear truth, and I will not hide my heart." Varen opened his mouth again, but Lyra raised her hand. "The council forgets something important. I am not only a princess, I am the future heir. I am allowed to choose my own bond." Silence fell instantly. The guard stood frozen. Varen looked stunned. Ethan stood behind her, trying to understand what heir meant in Solari law. But Varen soon recovered himself and spoke in a slower, colder tone. "If you claim this human publicly, princess, you must accept the consequences. A bond must be proven and declared before the court. Once declared, it cannot be undone." Lyra looked back at Ethan gently. "You risk political chaos," Varen warned. "Opposition, pressure, even danger." She nodded slowly, her eyes still holding calm strength. "I know. And yet," Varen hesitated, "you still intend to claim the bond?" Lyra turned fully toward Ethan. The glowing patterns on her skin steadied, forming a soft, warm light. Her voice grew quiet again, but the emotion inside it was clear. "Yes, I do." Ethan felt his breath catch. All the fear, the tension, the pressure around them seemed to fall away for a moment. Lyra looked at him as if he were the only person in the hall. Then she reached for his hand. Varen's voice shook slightly. "Princess, I choose him," she said simply. Varen closed his eyes, accepting it. The guards lowered their heads. Ethan felt the world tilt slightly. He couldn't fully understand Solari politics, but he understood enough. Her choice mattered deeply, and she made it without hesitation. "Ethan," she said softly, "come with me." She led him past the guards, past the counselor, past the glowing plants, toward a different hallway he had never entered. It was quieter, more ornate, with swirling patterns carved into the walls, symbols of Solari royalty. "How are you so calm?" Ethan whispered as they walked. "They're angry. They might punish you." She looked at him with a small smile. "My people do not punish leaders for feeling. They only worry that I might choose without understanding." "And do you understand?" he asked quietly. She nodded slowly. "Yes, I understand exactly what this bond means. It means I trust you. It means I value you. It means I am willing to share a path." He felt his chest warm again. "I don't want to cause trouble." "You didn't," she whispered. "You simply gave me something pure, and purity makes people nervous." They reached a large door with glowing lines along the edges. Lyra touched the center, and the door slid open, revealing a circular chamber filled with soft blue light. It looked peaceful, almost sacred. "This is the heart chamber," she said softly. "It is where Solari declare bonds." Ethan froze. "Wait, now?" She turned to face him fully. "The council will demand proof soon. If I declare first, before they question it, they must accept it. They cannot oppose a royal declaration made in this chamber." He felt a sudden rush of nerves. "Lyra, This sounds big, like something enormous. It is, she agreed quietly. Then what is this? He whispered. She stepped closer, her eyes glowing softly in the chamber light. This is a promise. That we walk together. That we support each other. That we let our worlds meet. Little by little. Ethan felt something settle inside him. A calm. A clarity. And if I say yes? He asked. Then I place your gift, your leaf into the heart seal, she murmured. And the chamber will record our bond. And if I say no? She gave a small, sad smile. Then I walk away. And no one will force anything. The bond breaks quietly. The council will never know the depth of what happened. He stared at her. The choice was his. She wasn't forcing him. She wasn't expecting obedience. She was offering trust. She was offering a path made of honesty, connection, and calm courage. Ethan took a slow breath. In the days he had known her, she never treated him like a tool or a worker. She treated him like someone who mattered, someone whose words and emotions meant something. Someone she chose, not because he had rank, but because he had heart. And he realized something simple. He didn't want to lose her. He stepped closer and took her hands gently. Lyra, he said quietly, I want this. I want to walk this path with you. Her eyes lit up instantly, a soft glow spreading across her skin. She squeezed his hands, a breath of relief escaping her lips. Then place your hand over mine, she whispered. Together, they walked to the center of the chamber. The floor shimmered beneath them, reacting to their presence. Lyra opened her hands, revealing the wooden leaf Ethan's gift, worn slightly from her holding it so often. She placed it in the heart seal, a small circular indentation glowing softly. Ethan Walker, she said in a voice both gentle and strong, I accept your gift, and I accept the bond of meaning between us. Ethan placed his hand beside hers. Princess Lyra whispered softly. And we begin our path. The seal glowed. Light rose around them, warm and soft, swirling like gentle threads that wound around their hands, their arms, their hearts. Ethan didn't feel pain, only calm, warmth, and a strange sense of connection, like two worlds briefly touching. When the light faded, the leaf remained glowing inside the seal. Lyra looked at him with quiet joy. It is done, she whispered. He smiled softly. So, now what happens? She laughed gently, soft, musical, and full of relief. Now, Ethan, everyone will know. The chamber door opened again as the council entered, shocked to see the glowing seal. Varen stopped in his tracks, eyes wide. It is true, he whispered. She declared. Lyra held Ethan's hand firmly. Yes, and he stood beside me. Varen lowered his head respectfully. Then the Dominion must honor your path. Ethan looked at Lyra. She squeezed his hand gently, her eyes full of silent promise. Two worlds had just changed. Not with war, not with politics, but with a simple gift, an unexpected reaction, and a shared truth. And their story had just begun.